Clint Walker and Jack Elam shared a unique bond both on and off the screen. Having starred together in several Western classics, they were more than just co-stars. So when Jack Elam passed away in 2003, fans were shocked. To see Clint absent from the funeral, it left many wondering, why didn't he say goodbye to someone he cared so deeply about? Before we get into that, let's take a step back and look at how Clint Walker came into Jack Elam's life and how their relationship took such an unexpected turn later on. Jack Elam was born in 1920 in the small mining town of Miami, Arizona, just about 85 miles from Phoenix. His father, Millard, worked a variety of jobs: carpenter, millman, and even accountant. Life wasn't easy for the Elam family. By the time Jack was 4, they had moved to a nearby town called Globe, Arizona. That same year, tragedy struck. Jack's mother, Alice Amelia, passed away from a disease they then called general paralysis. Though it was likely something more severe, she had been ill for 3 long years before her death. Losing a mother at such a young age was devastating. Jack and his older sister Mildred were left to be raised by relatives, shuffled between homes during an already difficult time. In 1928, when Jack was 8, his father remarried. His new stepmother, Flossie Vanny, was a schoolteacher from Kansas. Her arrival brought some much-needed stability to their lives. By 1930, the whole family, including Flossie's mother, was living together in Globe. Millard had found work as a loan company investigator, and things started to improve, at least on the surface. Even young Jack helped out by picking cotton on nearby farms to contribute to the household, but life had another challenge waiting for Jack. In 1931, just 11 years old, he got into a fight with another boy at a Boy Scout meeting of all places. The scuffle ended tragically. The other boy jabbed a pencil into Jack's left eye, leaving him permanently blind in that eye. Despite attempts to save it, the damage was irreversible. Eventually, the lens was removed, and the eye became permanently. Sickler later described how the injury caused his eye to drift, giving him the signature cockeyed look that would become his on-screen trademark. He often joked about it with a mix of humor and honesty. "I lost my eye when I was 11. In a fight, would you believe it? It was a big initiation night, but I got into a scrap with another kid, and he put a pencil right through my eye. No doctor was around right away, though the injury was a childhood misfortune. It ultimately helped define Jack's unforgettable screen persona." Jack Elam's eye injury didn't get proper treatment right away, and by the time doctors finally addressed it, the damage was already done. He later said it took about 20 years before his eye began to noticeably drift. While working on the TV series Rawhide in 1951, Jack once told Daryl Zanuck, head of 20th Century Fox, that he could get the eye fixed. "Psst. Part of your mystique," Zanuck said. And as it turned out, he was right. That lazy eye became one of Jack Elam's most iconic features, something that helped him stand out in a sea of Hollywood actors. But let's not pretend it didn't cause some challenges. Jack admitted that sometimes he appeared slightly off-center in conversations, which made social interactions tricky. Still, by then, it had become a part of who he was, both on-screen and off. Now, let's take a break from the cockeyed actor image and rewind a bit back to Jack's life before Hollywood ever came calling. Acting wasn't his first ambition. In fact, he started out with a pretty normal life. After graduating high school in Arizona, Jack moved to California. There he got married, enrolled in college, and studied business, while juggling classes. He worked a string of jobs: salesman, accountant for Standard Oil, bookkeeper at Bank of America, and even hotel manager at the prestigious Hotel Bel Air in Los Angeles. Not bad for a guy from a small Arizona town, like many men of his generation. Jack served in World War II. He spent 2 years in the U.S. Navy, a remarkable feat, considering he was already blind in one eye. After the war, Jack returned to business and became a respected independent auditor in Hollywood. He did financial work for big names, including Samuel Goldwyn Productions and Hopalong Cassidy Productions. Essentially, he was keeping the books straight for major players in the film industry. But life, as it often did for Jack, threw him another curveball. The long hours spent poring over financial records put immense strain on his good eye, the only one he could see out of. He later told a reporter that his good eye kept closing involuntarily, It was no mystery why. Imagine spending your days hunched over paperwork, relying entirely on one eye. Eventually, a doctor warned him, "Quit this work immediately, or risk going completely blind." Suddenly, Jack was at a crossroads. Oh, he couldn't continue his career in finance, and his vision left him with few obvious alternatives. It could have been the end of his story, but instead became the beginning. Jack took a risk and pivoted to acting. He made his film debut in 1949 in a cautionary tale titled She Should Have Said No, a low-budget exploitation film about a chorus girl whose life spirals after she tries marijuana. Her career collapses, and her brother takes his own life. It wasn't high art, but it was Jack's first step into a new world. Throughout the 1950s, Jack carved out a niche playing villains in gangster films and westerns. That rugged face and drifting eye gave him an unforgettable presence. By the end of the decade, critics dubbed him the screen's most loathsome character, which, Hollywood, meant he was doing something very right. If a movie or TV show needed a memorable bad guy, Jack Elam was the go-to. He was all over television during the 50s and 60s, especially in westerns. You'd see him in The Lone Ranger, Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Rawhide, and just about every other cowboy-themed show of the era. Jack had this uncanny ability to turn a stock villain into someone larger than life. His sneer, swagger, and signature squint made him unforgettable. But Jack wasn't just a one-note actor. In 1961, he appeared in an episode of The Twilight Zone called Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up? He played a suspicious and slightly unhinged bus passenger. It wasn't a western, it wasn't a gangster flick, but it showed that Jack could handle more than just bad guys in cowboy boots. He brought the same intensity and uniqueness to any role he touched. Then came Lawman, a Western TV series where Jack Elam had a chance to show a different side of his acting. He played a character named Paul Henry in an episode titled Cuddy. Hutter, while he was still cast as a tough guy, the role had more depth than usual. Instead of jumping straight into revenge after hearing his brother had been killed, his character paused unsure whether to believe a woman's story about what really happened. That hesitation gave the role nuance and allowed Jack to explore more emotional complexity, proving he could handle layered characters, not just one-note villains. In 1963, Jack was given a rare opportunity to play the good guy. He starred as a reformed gunfighter in the TV series The Dakotas. Though the show only ran for 19 episodes, it was a significant break from typecasting and a chance for Jack to step into the boots of a hero. Later that same year, he played a U.S. Marshal in another Western series, Temple Houston, portraying George Taggart, another former gunfighter turned lawman. These roles helped audiences see that Jack wasn't limited to playing outlaws. He could just as easily command the screen as a man on the right side of the law. Then came a turning point. 1966's The Night of the Grizzly. This Western film, starring Clint Walker, marked Jack's first comedic role, a big departure from the sinister characters he was known for. Directed by Joseph Pevney and released by Paramount Pictures, the film was a classic Western tale. Clint Walker played Marshal Big Jim Cole, a lawman who leaves his dangerous life behind to start anew. As a rancher in Wyoming, the peace is short-lived. Trouble soon follows in the form of a monstrous grizzly bear, hostile neighbors, and an outlaw from Big Jim's past seeking revenge. While the movie had a strong cast including Martha Heyer and Keenan Wynett, was Jack Elam's performance as Hank, quirky comedic side character that truly stood out. Clint Walker, known for his towering presence and deep voice, was already a big star thanks to his lead role in Cheyenne. He was a natural fit as the strong, silent hero of The Night of the Grizzly, but despite playing opposite roles, Clint, the stoic lead, Jack, the eccentric comic relief, the two men hit it off behind the scenes. They weren't the flashy type of Hollywood friends you'd see splashed across magazine covers. There were no wild parties or red carpet appearances together, but they respected each other. Both were tough, no-nonsense types with sharp wit and a grounded approach to life and work. That chemistry translated to the screen and built the foundation for a genuine, long-lasting friendship. Their bond would carry on well beyond the film set. And as we'll see later, that deep connection made Clint Walker's absence at Jack Elam's funeral in 2003 all the more shocking. In 1967, just a year after the night of the Grizzly, Jack took on yet another unexpected role in the film, The Way West. This time, played Preacher Weatherby, a far lighter and more comedic role than his typical gunman in Criminals. The film starred Hollywood legends Robert Mitchum, Richard Widmark, and Kirk Douglas, followed a wagon train journeying west on the Oregon Trail. Amidst the epic scale and drama of the film, Jack's character brought a touch of humor and humanity, once again proving his versatility. It was another step away from the villain's stereotype and a sign that Jack Elam was becoming far more than just a menacing face in a Western. Jack Elam proved time and again that he was far more than just Hollywood's go-to villain. In 1968, he landed a small but unforgettable role in Sergio Leone's iconic spaghetti western Once Upon a Time in the West. If you've seen it, you'll remember Jack as one of the three gunmen waiting at a dusty train station to ambush Charles Bronson's character. Jack spent most of the scene silently swatting at a pesky fly, eventually trapping it in the barrel of his gun. It was classic Jack Elam. Funny without saying a word, and still full of the tense, gritty energy that Westerns are known for. Then, in 1969, Jack leaned even further into comedy with Support Your Local Sheriff, starring alongside James Garner. The film was a huge hit, and Jack's role as the bumbling but lovable sidekick helped cement his place as more than just a tough guy. 2 years later, he reunited with Garner in Support Your Local Gunfighter. By this point, audiences had begun to see Jack in a new light as a reliable source of comic relief, with the kind of screen presence that always left an impression. Director Burt Kennedy saw that potential early. In fact, he cast Jack in 15 different projects over the years, a testament to both his talent and versatility in the mid-1970s. Jack took on a more heartfelt role in the short-lived TV series The Texas Wheelers, where he played Zach Wheeler, a long-lost father who returns to raise his children after their mother passes away. Though the show didn't last long, it showcased a softer, more paternal side of Jack Elam that audiences rarely got to see. His career continued evolving into the late 1970s and early 80s. Jack even took a stab at horror comedy, playing Frankenstein's monster in the short-lived sitcom Struck by Lightning. It only lasted 3 episodes, but his comedic streak was clearly still going strong. He also brought laughs to the big screen as the deranged proctologist Dr. Nicholas Van Helsing in the Cannonball Run and its sequel, Cannonball Run Turtles. That let him fully embrace absurdity and slapstick. In 1986, Jack starred in The Aurora Encounter, a lesser-known film that led to one of the most meaningful friendships of his life. During filming, he bonded with a young boy named Mickey Hayes with progeria, a rare condition that causes accelerated aging. Their friendship was so genuine and moving that it became the subject of a documentary called I Am Not a Freak. It offered a glimpse into Jack Elam, the person compassionate, down-to-earth, deeply human. As the years went on, Jack continued taking smaller roles, including a guest appearance on Home Improvement in 1992. His health was starting to decline, but his contribution to Hollywood was already well established. In 1994, he was inducted into the Hall of Great Western Performers in Oklahoma City, a fitting tribute to a man who had given so much to the genre. On the personal side, Jack was married twice. His first wife, Shawn Lacey Hodel, passed away from colon cancer in 1961. Later that same year, Jack married Margaret M. Jennison, and the two remained together for over 40 years. Jack Elam passed away in 2003 at the age of 82 from congestive heart failure in Ashland, Oregon. Though he's gone, his legacy lives on, not only as one of the most iconic villains in film history, but as a gifted comedic actor and a man with a kind heart behind that famously cockeyed stare. When news of Jack's passing spread, expected his longtime friend and Night of the Grizzly co-star, Clint Walker, to be there at the funeral. After all, their bond on and off screen was no secret. But when the day came, Clint was nowhere to be seen. His absence raised eyebrows and sparked speculation. Why would someone so close to Jack stay away? The reason was deeply personal and entirely understandable by that time. Clint Walker was in his mid-70s and battling serious heart issues. His history with heart problems went all the way back to a terrifying near-death experience in 1971. While skiing at Mammoth Mountain, Clint suffered a freak accident in which a ski pole impaled his chest, puncturing his heart. He was pronounced dead at one point, only to be miraculously revived in the hospital, though he survived. The incident left his heart permanently vulnerable. From then on, Clint had to carefully manage his health, especially when it came to emotional or physical stress. By 2003, attending a funeral, especially one for someone as close to him as Jack Elam, would have been not just emotionally overwhelming, but physically dangerous. Doctors had advised him to avoid situations that could trigger a cardiac event. The stress, combined with the travel demands, could have put his life at serious risk. In a later interview, Clint shared how incredibly difficult the decision was for him. He wanted nothing more than to say goodbye to his old friend in person. But ultimately, he had to prioritize his health. Though he wasn't there in the physical sense, those who knew him understood that Clint was mourning in his own way. That his bond with Jack Elam was one that didn't need a public farewell to be real. Clint later said that missing Jack Elam's funeral was one of the hardest decisions he'd ever had to make. Jack wasn't just a co-star, he was a true friend. On the sets they worked on together, Jack was always stirring up laughter with his offbeat sense of humor and mischievous antics. Clint fondly recalled one moment in particular. Jack once convinced a young stand-in that he had a terrible cold, only to fake a massive sneeze and flick water at her, sending the entire crew into fits of laughter. That was Jack, goofy, unpredictable, and always ready to break the tension with a well-timed prank. It was those moments that Clint held on to most after Jack's passing. Though he couldn't attend the funeral, Clint found his own way to say goodbye. He spent time reflecting on the memories they made together. The long days on set, the shared jokes, the quiet understanding between two men who'd spent years in a tough industry without losing their humanity. Clint believed Jack would have understood his choice. After all, Jack had faced his own health battles in later years and knew the importance of putting well-being first. Their friendship was never about show. It was rooted in mutual respect, loyalty, and the kind of camaraderie that doesn't need public gestures to be real. In the end, Clint Walker chose to honor Jack Elam, not by standing at his graveside, but by keeping his spirit alive through stories, laughter, and the legacy of work they created together. He knew that Jack, ever the jokester and realist, wouldn't have wanted him to risk his life just to attend a service. It was a decision made out of necessity, but one that Clint carried heavily. Their friendship, built on trust, laughter, and years of shared adventures, didn't end with Jack's passing. It lived on in Clint's heart and the roles they brought to life, and in the stories still told by fans who remember them both, not just as actors, but as legends and as friends.